Hey guys, so this is the first video on my channel with my new camera. You guys are on a new camera. And now I have a viewfinder, so I do that sometimes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to because I really hate it when people look at the viewfinder. But I got a Canon Rebel T5i, so I'm really excited. I finally upgraded my camera. Before I was using this guy, hold on, this guy, the Sony Cybershot, which is a great camera, and I'm gonna continue using this for vlogging. This is a really good camera also to start out with if you're just getting into YouTube videos and you don't want to buy like a huge camera. But that's not what this video is about. I just wanted to announce that we have a new camera because, like I said, this is the year of YouTube. So next to come, meetup, P.O. box, yeah. So this video is going to be a preface to the next couple videos of psychology I'm going to be doing. So I was going to do the careers in psychology video, but I thought that I should preface it first by saying why we study psychology. Firstly, I just want to point out that psychology is a science, and don't ever forget that when you're studying it. I know it's great to think of it as like a helping type of career, which it is. No matter what field you go to into psychology, whether it's research or clinical, you are helping people. But you have to keep in mind that it's a science and it is the study of the human mind, and just always have that in the back of your mind when you're studying it. Second, disclaimer about studying psychology: you should not study it to diagnose yourself or others. You learn this right off the bat when you start going to classes for psychology. Well, they should tell you, do not try and diagnose other people while you're studying it, while you're learning about the different disorders and things like that. Try your hardest not to apply them to yourself or others. It is completely normal to identify with so many disorders when you're studying it, especially if you take an abnormal psych class. You will start to think that you have everything that they talk about. I identified with at least 5. I took abnormal psych twice, once undergrad, well, I'm still undergrad, but one upper division, so I've studied it twice. Both times I identified with a lot of disorders, and that is completely normal. Don't think that you have everything that you're talking about. Don't think that you know, are crazy. Hate that word. Another thing, don't call people crazy. It is not the correct term. It's really hard in today's society to change our language because we're so accustomed to using the word crazy or psycho or bipolar in wrong situations and in derogatory ways that make it sound so negative and use it incorrectly. So I kind of want to help you guys formulate the proper language for studying psychology and mental illness and not use them incorrectly. And of course, I'm human, I slip, I say things. I love this camera has autofocus. It's like the greatest thing ever. Can you see this? Think about tutorials with this. Like, it's gonna be so cool. Also, you should know that things in your life will change when you study psychology. It's one of those majors that really does change you in a way, and it changes other people's views of you, especially when you tell someone you study psychology. They're gonna have multiple reactions. The one I get the most is, oh, so you're psychoanalyzing me right now. Or they'll say, oh, can you read me? Can you read my mind? And those are just ridiculous things to say. First off, or people will think that you're like a pro at counseling, or they're like, you can fix my problems. Which you're in training to do that. When you're in school, that's what you're learning. You can't okay, that's another thing in itself. You cannot fix people's problems. That is not what counselors do. That is not what therapists do. And now I'm getting kind of into the clinical side of things. I will do the careers in psych, where I talk more about the research and the clinical and like other aspects of the you know, major of psychology, because there's so many things you can do with it. But since I'm studying the clinical side and the counseling side, a lot of my references are going to refer to that. But counselors are meant to help direct people in a way that they solve their own problems. But we have a cat, we have a cat, we have a... Don't hit me. I know you want to hit me in the face. He loves hitting people in the face with claws out. So let's get into why we study psychology. I just made this intro way too long. Of course, first and foremost is to help people. When I asked you guys on Twitter, I asked if there were any psychology students or people out there why they would want to or why they do study psychology, and I got a bunch of responses, but the number one I got, which is I expected, is to help people. The second one I got is to understand yourself, which is good to do that and to learn behaviors and why you do things. But like I said before, you don't want to try and diagnose yourself or try to better understand your mental illness. Now, I was watching Stonehurst Asylum the other night, which, boring movie, but it was okay. And there was a quote in it that really stuck with me because it takes place in an asylum back, I think, in the 1800s. And there's a psychologist that comes in to work there, and the head doctor is like, why do you want to be here? And he said, I can think of no other ailment worse than madness, or something like that. And I think that is so true, because mental illness is something that cannot be seen. Of course, there's behaviors that can be seen, and I mean, we can't see, well, we can see broken bones. Okay. It's just more widely accepted to have a physical problem with your body in the sense of cancer or broken bones or, you know, an actual illness that's visible, that you can diagnose for sure. But because we still don't fully understand the human mind, a lot of people, there's so much stigma around it. And so that's one of my reasons to want to study psychology, is to help reduce that stigma and let people know it's okay to own up to your mental illness and ask for help and say, I need help, I think I have this, can you tell me what I have? Like, it's okay to reach out and not to be afraid of it. Society teaches us otherwise, and I think that's wrong. Although we are coming around, there's a lot more awareness about it now. There's so many people working to reduce the stigma, so I think that's unbelievable. But it's still there, so I want to help in my own way as much as I can, and I'm so thankful I have you guys listening to me right now so I can tell you it's okay. Beyond that, I also had a mother who was very supportive and understanding. I could literally say anything on my mind and there was no judgment at all when I was questioning my sexuality. No judgment at all from my mom, and I think that really helped me be a more empathetic, understanding person to others, because she was so great in raising me that way. So I really want to use that skill and that empathy that I developed from having a mother like that to help other people and be there for them like my mom was for me, to those people who maybe don't have someone in their life like that. And that's specifically why I want to work with young adults or teens, because that time of your life is the most influential and the most changing in your whole life, and the most difficult. So, I mean, I haven't lived my whole life yet, but I'm up to 25 now, so I think, you know, from 25 to born, I think teenagehood is the hardest time of your life. So I want to be there for people who just need someone to listen to them without any judgment. You know, people who don't have parents like that, or their friends, or, you know, their classmates. I want there to be absolutely no judgment. And I'm in the coolest classes this semester. I'm in Power, Privilege, and Self-Identity, and that is super cool because we learn all about diversity and accepting everyone for who and what they are and what they believe, and learning to, you know, be able to counsel people that maybe have different viewpoints from you, which I think is so important. And so we talk about a lot of isms like racism, faithism, ableism, heteroism. But a lot of those stereotype, judgment-y things, we learn a lot about those, which I love. I mean, I don't love those things, but I like learning about them and fixing them about myself too. Because we all have our judgments, and I think it's really important that we learn to accept our judgments and face them and fix them. But if you have any questions as far as studying psychology, of course I would recommend taking at least an intro course, because I think everyone can benefit from that, at least knowing how the brain works, because there is some science in there from, or in a like introductory course, which I think is super fascinating. And then of course some basic knowledge about certain disorders, but I think it's so important that everyone as a human really understands those kind of things and is sympathetic, if not empathetic, because empathy is the #1 trait that you need as a counselor. But sympathy for others who have mental illness is really, really important in today's day and age, especially. It seems to be that either mental illness is rising, or there's just more people coming out with the fact that they have a mental illness. But either way, we should all be supportive of those people. And granted, there are different, which I'll get into it more about counseling versus psychologist and things like that, but you know, counselors are more coaching towards people in their shorter time periods that they see them, so less than 6 months usually. So That's kind of what I aim to be, less so on the mental illness spectrum. Psychologists tend to work more with people who have mental illness, whereas counselors work with those who have temporary depression or just life issues that need helping. So that's kind of what I want to be for teens at in a high school setting. Let me know down below if you study psychology, why you do it, and so other people can read some reasons why and know more about it, more than what I can share. And hopefully that'll be helpful for those of you who are curious about it. And of course I'll get more into what you can do with the psychology degree and how much money you make and other facets of the major that might interest you more than the counseling side, because that's typically what people think about when they say you're studying psychology, is that you're going to be a therapist, which isn't always the case. There's so many other aspects to it. So I'll get into all those in another video. I hope these are somewhat interesting for you. I know you guys wanted the psychology videos back, but I know you were kind of referring more to the advice videos instead of the informative ones. But let me know if you want some more informative ones too, and any topics you want me to discuss as far as other mental illnesses or just facts in general about psychology. Leave all that down below. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. This is the new position of showing shirts when your camera doesn't autofocus. Hold it back. Hold it back. Is it in focus? Does it look good? Hold it back, girl.